Hello, today we are going to be looking at another interesting topic, that is introduction to Linux commands. Here we are going to focus on what Linux is and also work on some few common commands that are used in Linux. So let us first of all look at an understanding of the Linux system. Linux is an open source, Unix-like operating system kernel that was first created by Linus Torvalds in 1991. It is the foundation of various operating systems known as Linux distributions or distros. So another thing that we need to appreciate is the key characteristics of Linux operating system. One is that it's open source and freely available. Unlike other operating systems where you have to pay for a license, for an activation key and all that, Linux is free. I haven't seen anywhere you are being requested to enter a license key or anything like that. Then it also supports multiple users and has multitasking capabilities. It also has tight security features and it's very stable. It's also compatible with a wide range of hardware. Alright, so we also need to understand some examples of Linux distributions. For instance, in my case, I'm using a Linux distro. For this case, Ubuntu. So there are other examples in the list. The kinds of Red Hat, we have Debian, we have Parrot, we have Kali Linux, we have CentOS. I think the list is endless. So most of these operate the same way. Probably what changes is one or two things. So I bet if you haven't had an interaction with any Linux distribution, just try one of the distribution, get used to it, switch to another one, try and see how it differs with the other distros. Alright, so what makes a Linux system unique from other operating systems is that it has a great focus on the command line, working with the command line as opposed to the general user interface. For an operating system like Windows, most of the activities that goes on when operating on a Windows system is you just click on icons, click on icons and all that. Most of the activities revolve around working with the mouse, click here and there. Right, but when it comes to Linux, as long as you may have such an interface where you click and all that, we have these command line that makes our work easier when operating with Linux systems. So we are going to look at the advantages that comes with the CLI. So what it means by the CLI is the command line interface. So this is a very powerful interface that we are going to see how it works and how to best make use of it to make our life in Linux very simple. Right. So we also need to know the various ways that we can use to access a Linux system. One of them is by physically logging in. For instance, the first time I booted my system, I was prompted to key in my password. That is, my username was selected. Since I have one user for this machine, then I was requested to key in my password. So in a scenario that you have multiple users, you can either be prompted to key in your username and the password. So that is the physical login. In another scenario, you may be logging into a server hosted somewhere. We are going to see how that is done. So what happens, you have a username and you also have a password. So you need this terminal to be able to access that online server. Let us see how to access the online server. I have a server that I'm going to show you how to log in. So the way to do it, we have SSH. Then you input the name of the user who has access to that server, at the IP. Press enter. Once you are prompted about that, just confirm yes. Alright, then we are going to key in the password. So when you paste the password, you don't see anything. So once you have it, just press enter. And there we go. We have been able to log in to a Linux system that is cloud-based by use of SSH. So that is it. So whatever commands that we will be running on the cloud-based Linux system and those that we run locally, they are the same. So it's a very great thing to have an understanding of how Linux commands work, so that you'll be applying them across all Linux systems. Alright, so let us the cloud-based Linux system. So we can just type exit and it will log us out. Alright, so once you type a number of things on the command line and you feel like you need to make it clear, just type in the word clear and press enter. So it will clean the interface. Alright. So the next thing that we are going to be looking at is the basic commands for navigating through our Linux system. So for us to be able to work with the command line, we need to appreciate how to move across the different folders, how to manipulate files here and there, and all that. So the first command that we are going to look at is the cd command. So the cd commands just simply means change directory. So what you have is change directory, then specify where you want to go. So for instance, I may want to go to a path in home. Let me see if I have that. Then I could also want to navigate to downloads. So home, we have users. So Danny is one of the users. Then if I want to navigate to the downloads folder, that happens to be in Danny folder, that is what I have. So if you want to see the possible commands that you may have, just type the first few characters and press on tab. That is why we have documents and downloads. So let me narrow down and have W, then autocomplete. Alright, so if I do that, I have been led to the downloads folder. So I could check what I have in the downloads folder by simply typing ls. So if I type ls, I'm able to see I have downloaded two files so far, and here they are. So ls simply means list. You just give a list of what is in the current directory. Alright. And another command that we need to appreciate is knowing the location that we are. There are some times that, at least for now, we are able to see that we are in the downloads folder. We are able to see that. But there are times you may need to fetch the absolute path of your current location. For instance, now that you are in downloads, if you are to get here, we needed to move from home, go to the username, then to downloads. So if you need to share with someone this particular path, the way to do that, you need to print working directory. Some other people will call it present working directory. So either of them will give you the same response. so it's pwd. So this shows us the current path that we are in. So we are in home, Danny, downloads. All right. So those are the first three basic commands that we needed to appreciate. So it's very important to one understand also the file structure in Linux, but we are going to cover that in a separate video for you to get a vast understanding of how these parts are and how they are correlated. All right. So we are going to be looking at another topic, which is file and directory management. File and directory management. So we are going to be creating and deleting files and directories. All right. So I want us to navigate to the desktop folder. Then we are going to create our working directory there. So let us cd. In this case, we can just cd. We have two dots, so that is cd back one step. Let me just press enter. Then IRS. So I have a list of some directories here. So I want to go to desktop. So I want to cd desktop. So in case the folder that you want to move into is in your current path, you do not need to go back to home, Danny, then desktop. You can simply cd desktop. And there we go. So we are in the desktop folder. We can ls to see what we have there. So we have a folder called recordings and a file named test.py. All right. So back to the subtopic, we want to create. We also want to delete files and directory. So let us create our working directory. So the way to create a directory, we are going to have mkdir. Then we give a space. Then we give the folder name. We can call it the folder or the directory name. Right. So we have Linux training. Then we have enter. So if we ls, we are able to see that we have created this new directory, Linux training. All right. So let us cd into that folder. So we have cd. Then once you type a few of the characters of the name of the folder that you want to navigate to, just press on tab. It will auto complete the rest. Then press enter. All right. So currently we are in the Linux training folder. All right. So here we want to create a file. We want to create a file on command line, and the way to do that, we have touch. We have the keyword touch. Then the next thing that we need to give it is the name of the file that you want to give it. So let's call it notes. You can call it notes. Then give it an extension. Remember, in Linux you can create a file without an extension. So for instance, if we talk of touch notes, press enter, then we ls, we have notes. So in this case, this is a file and not a folder. All right. So let's clear our screen. All right. So we have created a file named notes with no extension. Else we have this file. So we would want to remove this file. We want to do away with it. So the way to remove the file, we have rm space notes. So rm just simply means remove notes. Press enter. Then if we ls, we no longer have the file named notes. All right. So the next thing we need to create, let's create a folder and also see how to delete it. So we need to make directory, then we want to name it test folder. Press enter. We ls, we have this folder. So we want to remove this folder. So the way to remove a folder, we have rm remove, then we have to add a recursive flag, then mention the folder name. Remove space -r, then the name of the folder, press enter. So usually you don't even get prompts of whether you are sure or not. There are only some few scenarios that you get such a prompt, but in most cases you are supposed to be aware of what you are doing. So that's why Linux is quite sensitive, but with the knowledge of what exactly you want to do, you can be sure that you won't mess around. So if we ls, we no longer have that folder. So that is it in creating and deleting files and directories. So moving to the next subtopic, we want to see how to copy and move files and directories. Alright, so let's create our console. So we want to see how to copy a file from one location to another. So if we ls the current directory that we are in, we see that there is nothing, no file, no folder. Then we can ls the content of the desktop. So the way to do that, we can ls home. Remember, we have Danny and we have desktop. If we ls that, we are going to see that we have Linux training, we have recordings, and we have test.py. So I want to copy this file from the desktop folder to the training folder. So how will I do that? I will use a keyword called cp copy. So I want to copy home, Danny, desktop, test.py. So that is the source of the file. Then I also need to mention the destination. Home, we have Danny, and we have desktop, and we have Linux training. Right. So cp, the source, and the destination. Right. So that's what we have. Let us ls. So we see that we now have the test.py in our current working folder. Alright, so while we are still in this same folder, we may want to copy the content of test.py to another file. So we can have cp test.py, then let's name it test2.py. Press enter. If we ls, we have test.py and test2.py. So these two files have the same content. Alright, so let's clear that. So another thing, we want to see how to move files. So let's do this. Let's touch a file in home, Danny, desktop, new notes.txt. So in this case, we have created a file named new notes.txt in the home Danny desktop directory. So if we check on the desktop directory, we have this new file that we just created. So we want to move this file to the Linux training directory. Remember, if we ls the current location, we do not have that file. So to move a file, we have move. What are we moving? So we need to mention the location, or rather the source of the file. So it's in home, we have Danny, and we have desktop. Then we have new notes. So we are moving new notes from that location to the current location. Alright. So moving it means do not have a copy that has been left in the desktop folder. So if we ls in our current location, we have new nodes. So if we ls, okay, I forgot to mention that if you want to use the previous command that you have typed, you can use the up button to navigate to the previous command that you have been using. So I want to ls what is in desktop, and I see that new nodes file no longer exists, but it exists in now our current location. Alright, so let's clear that. So let me show you how to do that in an easier way other than typing the absolute path from home, Dani, desktop. So let me erase, see what is in desktop. I have test.py in the current folder. I also have test.py. So let me delete what is in the current folder. Remove test.py. I remove that. If I erase, it's no longer there. So I want to show you another way of moving the file from the desktop, this test.py, to the current folder. Alright, so I have move mv. Then instead of starting with home, Dani, desktop, I can simply type that, then / desktop, then we have test.py. Then I want to move it to the current location. So the current location can be denoted by just a full stop, then enter. So if I ls, I have test.py again. So this is a bit easier as compared to what we have been using. Alright, let's clear that. So I also want us to see how to copy a folder, copy a directory and its content. So let's go back to the desktop folder. Let us cd. Then since the desktop is just one step back, so it's cd double full stop. Then let's press that. If we ls, we have this. So let's create a new directory. Make a new directory, test directory. Let's move to that test directory. Let's attach a file here, index.html. Alright, so we want to copy the test directory from the desktop to the Linux training directory. So what we need to do, we need to cd back once, then have a /, then we go to Linux training. So this one means we moved one step back, then we moved to the Linux training folder. Press enter. Alright, so what we want to copy this directory and its content to the current folder. Alright, so let's clear that. So we have cp, then we have desktop, then we have test directory. We have that is the source. Then for the destination we have a full stop. Now that this is a directory and its content, you have to do cp then recursively. This is to ensure that it copies the directory and its content as well. So in the current directory, let us see. Alright, let's erase. So if we erase, we see that there is a new folder that has been brought in, that is test.dir. Let us check the content of test.dir, and we see that it has the index.html. So by use of this command, we have been able to copy the test directory from from the desktop to the Linux training folder and its content. So by that is copying. So to move, you just replace CP by MV and you have moved. So remember, copying, you create a copy of the initial file or directory. Moving, you move it from one location to another such that the original file or folders no longer exist in the initial location. Alright, so that is it. So under the same thing, we need to look at listing and viewing file content. That is the third subtopic in file and directory management. We want to list and view the files content. Alright, so we have been using ls for the longest time, so that is one of them. So this enables us to view content in the current directory and also in any other specified directory. So for the current, we just use ls. For any other, such as test.dir, we have that, and we see the content of the test directory. Alright, then we would want to see the content of say index.html. So let us cd into test.dir. If we ls here, we have the index.html. So we would want to see the content of this particular file. So the way we do it, we just do cut index.html. So it's cut, then the name of the file. So it could be the name alone if it's in the current folder, or the path to that folder, the path and the file. Alright, so if we press on enter, we get nothing because this is an empty file. So we could use another term called echo, and echo, let's say hello world to index.html. So echo means we write hello world into this file. So if in this time we talk of, okay, alright, let me clear the screen first. Right, so if I cut index.html, I get hello world. So this is the content of that file. Alright. Alright. So there are some other commands that we can use. Index, we have more index.html. So this will capture most of the information in that file. If the file has, say, 1,000 lines, it will ensure to capture as much as possible and display it to the user. The other command that we can use to view the content is res index.html. So this will capture minimal content of that file and return to the user. And it gives an option of pressing enter to continue viewing more content. Alright, so to terminate from that, just press Ctrl Z. Alright, so the next topic, we are moving to the next topic, is text manipulation. So by text manipulation, we mean how to work around with text. Right, so let us cd back into the training folder. If we ls, this is what we have. So in our terminal, we may want to display some text, just like in most coding languages. For instance, Python, you have print something, then you get it on the console. On command line, we have echo. We use the keyword echo, then followed by the text that you want to display. So let's talk of hello Linux. Hello Linux. So if we do that, we get back the text on our console. So we may want to push this text to a folder, into a file. For instance, we want to have index.txt. So if we ls, so if this file did not exist, it creates one. If it existed, it replaces the content of that file with what we have here. Alright, so if you try and cut, okay, alright, let's clear the console. So if we cut index, we see hello Linux, right? Alright, so we may want to edit this file. We may want to edit this file and add more content on this. So we have two main options in Linux that we can use. Remember, whatever we are doing here applies to what you'll be doing on the cloud servers. So on the cloud servers, you may want to edit some configurations and all that. So you need to be aware of some of these tools. Alright, so we want to add some text to this file. So what we have two options. One of them is by use of nano. So we have nano, then type in the name of the file that you want to edit, then press enter. So here we have hello Linux. You can add some more lines, hello Linux, and all that. So once you are done editing, to exit from the file, we have Control X. Then it asks you whether to save modified buffer, type Y, then press enter. Alright, so then cut index.txt, press enter, and we see the new content. Alright, so let's go back there. We have nano index.txt. Let's add some few more lines. Hello there, hello there. Alright, once you are done with adding the content, press Control X. So if whatever content you added, you want to save that, you are okay with it, you need to press Y for yes. Otherwise, press no, N for no. So in our case, we want to save that, so press Y, then file name to write index.txt, just press enter, and it exits from that, and the changes have been saved. Alright, so that is for nano. So let's move to Vim. We have another one called Vim. Let's clear the console. Alright, so we have Vim. That is also another powerful text editor. So we have Vim index.txt. Right, so Vim is not found. So we need to install it. So let us first of all install Vim on our system. We have sudo apt install Vim. Press Y. Alright, within some few seconds, Vim has been installed on our system. So let's clear the console. Let's try Vim index.txt. Alright. So to input text, you need to press on I. Unlike nano, where we had to just navigate to the location or where we want to add the text and start typing. So for Vim, you need to press on I. Then just navigate to the location where you want to add new text in Vim. Once you are done with editing, press escape, then press on shift : then WQ and a question and an exclamation mark, then press enter. That's how to save the content of the file when editing using Vim. Let's go back and see. So we have Vim index.txt. So to edit, remember we press on I, then add new line. Once done with editing, press escape and watch down here as the changes are made. So press escape, then press shift : or rather the button with a colon. So basically we want to have a colon here, so whatever shortcut on your keyboard that returns a colon, just press on that. Then we have small w for write and q for quit. So it will write and quit. So in a case that you want to just save the content without quitting, so you can simply have w then an exclamation mark. But now that you want to have we want to write and quit, you have w, q and an exclamation mark. So in a scenario that you have added lines that you don't want to save, just have a q and an exclamation mark, then enter. So it will not save the last changes that were made. Alright, that's interesting. So there's so much to learn, especially on Vim, and we are going to have an exclusive video for working with Vim. We don't want to into much information about Vim, how to work with Vim, but at least we have some idea on how to work with Vim. Alright, so the next thing that we want to look at and text manipulation is searching for text in a file. So a very good example comes in when you want to inspect the logs of a system. So you want to see where errors occurred and who the errors were related to. So you need to know how to search for these text, for these key names and all that. Alright, so in our index, let me just cut index, let me see. Alright, so I want to search for the word Vim in our text file. You can see it exists somewhere here. So let me just do that. So we can have grep. I want Vim in index.txt. Press enter, and in the same line I'm given the text related to that. So this may not give us a very good example, but imagine of a log file with say 1,000 lines, where you want to know, like you are investigating on why the system failed, where the error occurred, what was the error related to. So this helps so much by if you grep with the keyword of the specific thing that you want to look at, it will return some fewer lines. Say from 1,000 you get 50 lines. At least with 50 lines you are able to investigate and see where the error occurred and just quickly fix that error. That's simply how to do it. Alright, then just to go back to something we did before, remember we used the word echo. Then we echoed some words here to a file. So this one creates the file if it doesn't exist, or replaces the content of the existing file if it has some content, and replaces it with what we have here. So if you do not want to replace the content of that file with whatever you are echoing here, what you need to do, you need to have, what you need to have is that. So echo some words, then index.txt. Let's clear that first. Then we cut index. Right, so we see we have this. So in a case that we want to replace the whole content, so just use one of the greater than symbols. If we do that, then cut index, we see that it has replaced everything that we had. So it's very cautious when learning some of these commands. Otherwise they might mess up your whole system. Alright, so moving next to the next topic. So we want to move to another interesting topic that is about package management. want to see how to manage the packages of your system. Alright, so the first thing that you need to be able to appreciate is how to update your package repository. Remember, all Linux distros have a package repository. They check online to see if there are new updates or there are new software releases. So the way to do that, we have sudo apt update. So if you do this, it learns an update to the package repository. If there exist new releases, it downloads them to that package repository. Then for the update to be fixed to now the current installed software, you need to upgrade. So I'm not going to run this command, but in your case, if you need to do that, just run that update. Once you do that, you can have upgrade. So this one will now fetch from the updated repository and fix the updates on the current softwares. Right? That's the way to do it. Right. So this one applies on most of the Linux distribution. So there are some other Linux distributions that uses a slightly different way of querying the repository update. So instead of using apt, they use sudo yum update or upgrade. So an example of one of the distros that uses this is the CentOS. I think all the other distributions works on sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade. Right? So in my case, I'm using apt. Alright. So the next thing is to see how to install a package. The way to install a package. So let's try this package. Sudo apt install. Let me try and install a web server called Nginx. So this is what we do. Sudo apt install, then the package name. You need to know the package name for you to use it. So it's sudo apt install Nginx, or the package name that you want. So in a case that you are using a distro that uses yum, just have it here. So once you have that, press enter, reads the package list. If the name is valid, it requests you to proceed, just press enter. Alright, and within some few seconds or either a minute, our package will be installed. It all depends with the size of the software or the package that we are installing. So we have that. So let me just show you some other commands that you can use. For instance, there's a web server. We may need to monitor the status of that system. So what we need to do, systemctl status nginx. So it's a web server, so we may need to just check on its status. It's currently in the running status, so that's okay. So that's not really a command that you are to run under the package management, but either way, once you install some of these packages, you may need to check on their status. For instance, such a service, it's not a service that you use maybe to edit files and all that. It's a service that powers websites, so you need to check on the status. So it's a nice thing knowing how to check on the status. If it's currently not active, usually could have a dead status here. You can just let me show you. You can just start. So let me stop the service and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm requested to key in my password. Then let me authenticate. Alright, let me check on the status. So as you can see, it's inactive or in a dead status. Alright, So to get out of that, press on Ctrl Z. So let me show you how to start that service. It's actually a service, so start. So we need to input our password. Let me just press on cancel. Let me try to use sudo. So there are some commands that require super admin privileges. So if you are logged in as a normal user, for instance, in my case, the current user is Danny, you need to use the sudo command. So you have sudo, let's press enter. So in that case, I'm not being requested to enter my password. So let me check on the status, and it's now active and running. Alright, so we have seen how to install a package. So think of that time that you no longer need the package that you installed. So we want to see how to remove that package. So I want us to delete this web server that we have installed. So we have sudo apt remove, we have remove, then the package name. So the package name is Nginx. Once we have that, press enter, then confirm, then give it some time. Alright, so we are told, okay, we are not given a success message or anything, but since we don't have an error, we suppose that it has been removed. That's simply how to install and uninstall a service. We have also seen how to start and stop a service. So that marks the end of our video today. We have learned quite a number of concepts on introduction to Linux commands. We have so much that you can do with Linux, but that's just the basic concept. We are going to create some advanced videos on working with Linux commands. If you found this video helpful, kindly subscribe to our channel, give this video a thumbs up, and also drop a comment below. Thank you and goodbye.